scene is set for Perth by Night. It's set in the trench. Semi-Musketeers, a clanmate of Rafat, is, well, he's trying to recruit a few helping hands for a bit of a venture into, well, unknown so far. He hasn't elaborated, but he's looking for a few good men and/or kindred. And with that, we'll begin. Charles McGowan has already bought a few drinks for himself, and we'll begin letting the Simeon.
Okay. Well, welcome for those who showed up. Is everybody here for the mission I send around?
I imagine they're here at least to hear.
Okay. Well, basically, Prince gave me a mission. There has been a criminal gang who has been unusually well armed. I went in there myself and barely got out alive with the amount of shotguns they possessed. My mission is to basically thin out the herd a bit and turn in their leader to the prince. And, well, what I can say is they're well armed and way above the normal things. Any first questions?
After you have said that, Char will put out his gloves, put it in his hands, and he will just wait for anyone to talk.
You're gonna have to roll manipulation subterfuge, as I said previously, because you are very distinctly leaving out details. So people can roll opposed perception empathy.
Fairly well.
Okie dokie.
Am I going to roll manipulation subterfuge?
No, you don't have to. Oh. It's Musketeers.
Does Auspex help with this roll?
Auspex can if you wish it to. However, if he whips out a flashbang right about this point, you're pretty screwed.
I'll be safe and
okay, we'll get to the botch. We'll get to the botch in a second. I think.
I botch as well.
Even with this,
because he kind of okay. I think we'll get everybody's rolls in, and then I'll.
We have 2 botches, 1 failure, and
give me a second.
Okay, you got a botch.
No, I have 7.
I get a lot of misinformation from this.
Okay.
I have 8 successes.
Got a failures? Yeah, I got 4 successes.
Okay.
Okay. Here's what we've got from the botch. From Musketeers himself going, and he gives this big spiel, and he just kind of leans back. It says he almost like he was trying to mutter it under his voice, or wasn't intending to, but even then muttering it unintentionally, he says it quite loudly, so that anybody except Johnson. Johnson somehow doesn't hear it. He's cleaning something out of his ear.
No. Austin failed as well.
No, Austin failed. Austin didn't botch. You botched. You kind of go. You're just kind of now. Bram's guy sticks his fingers here. He accidentally pierces an eardrum for a second, until he heals it up using tiny, not a full blood pipe, but tiny amount of blood.
Can I do the severity?
Use the severity one. It's basically going because this is really pulling my ass out of the fire. I'm thinking something like that.
Well, basically what I said, when they're well armed, he's kind of understating it a bit. You both got a feeling no guys, these are really well armed, and the fact that I got out alive was too close for comfort.
Anyone who gets multiple successes, he says this is a job from the prince. You've got multiple successes, given the fact he botched there. It's a job from the prince for all of you. This is his problem. However, he's looking for help. Which, you're vampires, so you smell blood in the water. So, get what you can out of him. I'm kind of nod in the back.
Okay, out of character, is it the job from the prince? Did he lie there?
It is a job from the prince. It's just not a job necessary that you have to do.
Oh, okay.
But it is on the prince's orders. It's just not it's his problem, not necessarily yours unless you want to get involved.
Charles looks at the musketeer and says, I hope you will tell the prince that we helped you.
Of course, if you come along, I will certainly inform the prince that you come, and he will be grateful for it.
I need to go near my sheriff to take a rifle.
The sheriff said he was interested in a bit of a fight, so he might show up.
Thank you.
Still, Mr. Musketeers, it sounds mighty dangerous. Armed men and all that. So, what's in it for us?
Well, I suspect since we're going to the leader, there might be some cash laying around, and I'm willing to share some of that cash. I'm offering a share in the spoils.
Just a share.
Yeah.
Well, let me go ahead and take the floor for a second. Spoils, plunder, pillaging, that's all well and good, but those are rewards that we don't see quite yet. That is pretty much the risk factor. What if we go into that type of situation and there is nothing to gather? There is no reward at the end of this tunnel other than some well-meaning gestures from our dear, dear beloved prince. Perhaps if we were assured of certain rewards at the beginning of such an adventure, with the plunder to go ahead and sweeten the deal afterwards.
First, there needs to be success for any reward can be given.
That is exactly the situation we find ourselves in. The success of such an adventure is not yet assured, my good sir.
So basically, you want to be rewarded for a mission that can be a failure. Or
I'm just looking at the risk that is inherent in such an adventure, my good sir.
Simeon, he is looking for, well, some might sell as payment in advance, but success or failure, he obviously is looking for some benefit to himself. Now, we don't want every kindred in the city getting involved in this, so we should have those who are more skilled in these particular areas. So, of course, I give you my moral support, but I personally, at the moment, I think it best if you gather those who are, of course, like the sheriff, who are, if he is willing to help, those who are more focused towards combat and that kind of thing.
After the Rafat talks, Charles just couldn't hold himself and says, there is 2 Primogen in here. And also there is a Tremere. I believe we don't need greed in this. If the prince needs helps, and if the prince, as the musketeer says that it's a mission that given by prince, gratitude of the prince should be enough actually.
Fair enough, fair enough. I do not speak for everybody here.
To be clear, I of course will be aiding the prince. I have other duties I perform for him on a regular basis, and some I will likely be performing tonight. I may say my skill set is focused in other regards, and I am willing to help for the defense of the city. I was one of those involved in conquering it. But, like I said, we can't have every kindred in the city barreling down the location. That increases the likelihood of somebody frenzying. A smaller group would be advisable, and I am not as focused towards that regard.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the prince is a Tremere elder, not a Toreador unit.
I think your memory is correct.
mhm.
Dude, for a moment there I was afraid I was mistaken.
Charles McGowan just looks at the Marcus Creel, and he just looks back at the Rafat and then through the musketeers.
Well,
And
No. Let me be fair here. If you join the mission, I will ask Rafat here, and I will do so on a personal account to maybe give some blood to start the mission. Not huge amounts, but a couple.
In the interests of supporting this endeavor, obviously I can't. Reserves are running a little low at the moment, but in the interests of supporting such a thing, one moment, Rafat will go into the back, and he'll come back with a water cooler. He'll open it up, and he said, "I will leave this in the care for Mr. Musketeers to dole out to those who are willing to help in this endeavor." There you'll see there's 5 blood bags in there. Half a person's worth of blood. This should aid towards that regard if somebody gets injured, that sort of thing.
Yes, thank you, Rafat. We will square off later.
Musketeers, if you want me to move my own body in a line of fire, shotgun fire from what you described, there is going to be a payment up front for me taking the risk. Then there's going to be payment backwards if it comes to be that I did have to put my flesh in the line of fire.
Well, I'm pretty sure they will be resisting.
I am with Primogen Creel here. I would need a payment up front for risking my neck, so to speak.
As for myself, I believe that cooler there will simply be wasted on me. My talents don't lend themselves to this kind of heavy combat.
And gentlemen, what kind of payment are we talking about?
What do you have?
That's not the question I asked. I asked what you want.
Peace on earth and goodwill among the men?
Yeah, well, I was dreaming of that as well. Unfortunately, I'm not Santa Claus.
I would imagine that currencies that the gentleman may find acceptable is a certain amount of cash up front, boons, that kind of thing.
Yes, but I'm still not hearing a price.
All considering the blood will be provided by the Primogen.
That amount of blood has been provided. I am not writing any blank checks.
Of course not. We'll just go with 2 minor boons for me to participate. A clear understanding that I'll be participating in any physicality that comes up. And when or if that physicality comes up, 1 major boon.
And you, Mr. Johnston?
I do believe that what Mr. Creel is asking for would be sufficient for myself as well.
I don't think a couple of violent with a couple of humans merits a major boon, even though if they're well armed. They're still humans we're talking about.
Well, like we said, minor boons, and if it's very dangerous, we will up the ante.
I'm willing to give out 1 minor boon in advance and 1 minor boon if violence comes to pass, on condition that the mission is successful. I'm not paying anyone for just to show up and then leave.
To be fair, you will have to define the parameters. Once things have begun, of course, obviously, is a particular gang, a particular, etc. I imagine they'll need to know the extent of this. If this is all criminals in the city, that's a much longer endeavor.
No, certainly not. This is a gang, and I've gotten information on where one of their bosses is staying. And this particular boss is well guarded. Or it was in the previous attempt.
Mr. Musketeers, I would like to ask, is there any confirmation that we can get about this boss? I mean, is he a ghoul?
As far as I know, he's just human. His underling was very certain the boss was there. Very certain.
It's a shame I seem to have priced myself out of the option to participate. Well.
That is a danger when everyone attempts to haggle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Understandable.
How about if Mr. Musketeers would bring it down to a moderate boon?
What I'm willing to do is the following deal. You help me with this mission, and in return, when you need me, I will join one of your missions free of charge, if within the same difficulty range.
As judged by whom?
As judged by...
I do believe we have a harpy present.
We do
So
have a harpy.
it could be that the harpies are the ones who would judge us. If they would be perhaps, or actually well, I'm merely suggesting harpy present, but they will not be going on a mission. We have the sheriff going on a mission, who is of course in good standing, good judge of character. He may, in conjunction with cooperating harpies, if there is any debate about it later on, he may be able to inform the harpies, and things could be defined that way.
Mm-hmm.
A suggestion.
How about we look at it like this, my good musketeer? I would suggest to you at this moment to go ahead and haggle, if you would like, with these two gentlemen about the exact price. However, should the mission be successful, and should there be a sizable reward, sizable plunder afterwards, go ahead and make arrangements to lessen the cost, or at least buy out some of that debt with this new plunder that you have just acquired.
What I'm willing to do is the following. I'm willing to, upfront, if the mission is successful and the participants perform as required, again, no fleeing, no obvious, and I can let the sheriff be the judge on that, I will perform the same service in return. Like I just spoke, I will go on a mission and help them. Afterwards, if the mission is successful, they get an equal share in any loot found.
I will put a stipulation on it that if you were to return the boon, it would of course not be against any Camarilla target.
No, of course. I will not do any. I will not participate against any unlawful target.
I wouldn't be happy to have a clanmate of mine. Well, it's possible at times there are conflicts between individuals, but over something this where it's going up against Kine, having it later on,
Of
having that
course,
called in against another kindred of the Camarilla.
the boss we might capture is, of course, for the prince, and does not is not included in the loot.
So, A minor boon up front, one after, and your agreement that you will help us with an equal task free of charge.
No, I have not. I said basically, I feel that my participation in the same mission is a moderate boon. So there would be no extra minor boons.
A shame.
Mr. Creel and yourself have seen me being quite good at combat. I peeled open one of those big dingoes with just a knife.
However, that does leave open the question of why would you need so many of us to handle a few humans?
So many, it would be max 5. I see the sheriff is just interested in the fight. Of course, the sheriff was. Of course, I already promised Lavoisier that I would help the sheriff if he requires me.
So perhaps we should look at it from a different perspective. Perhaps we're not looking with the fullest resource base that we could possibly think of, the fullest leadership. It's just not yourself that's going to lead this mission, I assume, but also the sheriff?
Yes, but you will deal out no boons.
Unfortunately, that was what I was working towards, I'm sorry to say.
Fat will be moving towards the door. He's previously done one or two things under the counter. He moves towards the door, checking it. Before checking the aura, opening the door. Ah, Mr. Harris. We've got a few in here tonight.
Yes, well, I figured I had a few things to, bit of free time. So, comes on in. Hello everyone.
Mr. Harris, it's nice to see you again.
And you.
How do these knights find you? We were discussing just a bit of business. Haggling, per se.
Oh. Well, they find me well enough.
Fair enough. Musketeers, give the same proposal to my man here, Harrison. I believe he'd be interested, or at least willing enough to listen.
Well, I will do a short recap. There is a human gang which has appeared to be a bit too well armed for its own good. And the prince asked me to thin the herd a bit and get their boss to him.
I see, and are you looking to, are you looking for strength of arms in this, or what exactly?
Yes, I need some military backup. Alone, to take them alone, they would be too well armed.
Multiple targets makes it a little bit easier. All of the weight of fire coming on one kindred, no matter how strong, eventually, well, wear anyone down. Mostly that's what ghouls are for. But ghouls leave bodies. Ghouls fall over.
Yes.
I should know. I used to be a ghoul like that. It wasn't fun.
That said, I'm not exactly that skilled in martial matters myself. I was once, but not so much anymore.
You are free to sit this one out. But we were discussing the So that would... I repeat the final offer. Plantermere will take care of 5 bags of blood.
Already provided.
Yes. I will go on a mission against any lawful target with the... if you go along, this will count as a moderate boon, and you'll get an equal share of any spoils of war at the end if the mission is a success.
No, I do appreciate the offer. I will politely decline.
This is so. Anyone who wants to take me up on this offer?
I believe young Master McGowan showed some interest. However, he wished to speak with the sheriff first, who I believe you already indicated you'll be meeting with. Aside from that, I think, well, as Mr. Creel said, he's priced himself out. If he backs down now, we'll all know to hold out for a better deal. Understandable.
Mr. Johnson as well?
Depends. Do you think you could throw in a minor boon?
A minor boon for what?
In addition.
In addition.
Unspecified within the parameters of a minor boon, I would believe.
And lawful, of course.
Of course.
Would this be within the premise of this arrangement? If so, then I will agree.
If the sheriff and Mr. McGowan take the first offer, I won't. I think I will have enough backup in these two. If they don't, I will take you up on your offer.
Mr. Musketeers, I don't need any offer. I will help a member of the Camarilla for the city, let's say. I don't need any boons or different things for helping a part of my society. I am not a person like that, let's say. All I need is I need a weapon. I got my own weapons, but for this mission I will require something more. And I think it will be given by Sheriff. He gave me in the hunt that we have done at the gangrel. For the gangrel, of course. So, you have me. And he silently backs off.
That one is,
That one is a keeper.
Well, since he doesn't need his moderate boon, that gives you more wiggle room.
I will talk to the sheriff if he agrees on the old price. So yeah, like I said, I will contact you if I need extra muscle. But I think 3 against some humans will be enough.
I wish you the best of luck. I think the obviously if you make future arrangements with the sheriff, let the harp you know. However, gentlemen, seems like some of you have a interesting outing tonight. I look forward to hearing. He drums his fingers on the cooler. However, Mr. Rott, I would like to speak with you regarding a matter in private, especially since well, the larder's running a little low, gentlemen. So if you'd give us some privacy.
fair enough.
Perhaps you'd
Let me
be okay
simply-
with Harris being present.
Oh, Harris can definitely be in attendance if it involves him. Just
Not
for...
as much, but well, I
I
don't
find
think
no
we mind.
offense to him being here with talking about business between us. However, just one thing, to go ahead and clear my ledger up, make sure that is completely clear. Apparently, from Musketeers, we have the offer of a minor boon to Johnson over there.
No. He is. He isn't. If the sheriff agrees with the old price, he isn't going. So I didn't give a boon. We were still hanging.
He's not sure if he needs the additional manpower just yet, but you may get contacted shortly regarding. Mr. McGowan is willing to do this for the good of the city, to which I applaud him. And he'll be contacting the sheriff, but 3 might be sufficient for the task. I think it'll be. I look forward to hearing the results.
Okay, fair enough. Like you said, I will have to speak to the sheriff about what exactly is being traded for the service, and apparently Mr. McGowan is a rather honorable gentleman. I have nothing left to say about his character. If you're rolling to see what he thinks about you, he thinks you're rather foolish.
No, did you mean that by honorable? I don't think that I just can't do that.
I think there was a certain amount of sarcasm.
Probably since you're scanning, like you probably pick up from Rafat. Rafat's kind of like, okay, fair enough, you're willing to do it free. I've done the same thing in my past, but boons were being offered. Why? He's just kind of like, you probably should have taken those, but he's not going to press it. In fairness, he's like, okay. He's happy to see somebody taking it up. However, Rafat will let everybody file out, get their weapons, go about their way until it is just himself and the 2 Malkavians.
Simeon and McGowan will go towards the sheriff. And as soon as as soon as Justin arrives, we can pick up the scene there. Yes?
In different hangout, I'd say, because we'll probably be ending this one shortly if he's not around yet.
Creel, while passing Mr. Harris just mentioned, I'll have the first 1,000 hitting your way by tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Excellent.
So, once it's just Rafat and the 2 Malkavians, this is like unfortunately, I've spoken with some of my clanmates, Mr. Ross, and at the moment we would rather our privacy. However, he'll pour out a drink, say, conciliation. Hope there's no hard feelings, and he'll slide it over. We see it's from one of the containers, same as the rest of them. Actually, all the other ones are empty now. Yeah, I had to give away 10 5 blood before the scene starts. 5 blood in the scene. I can't have all the blood on me. However, yes, please.
Asheroth will simply look at you and just smile, actually.
I wish to get back to you sooner, however, it was occupied with a few things, I meant no disrespect. But with regards to if you're making efforts elsewhere, I'd be interested in help you, not asking for any boons or anything. If it's not any major inconvenience to myself, I think it's worthwhile what you discussed. It's just the privacy of the clan is needed to a degree. But if you're making angles into any particular area, feel free to contact me if you wish. There is some overlap in the disciplines common to both our bloods, but even then, having an additional person, having a few words, and it could be useful for you.
Very well. You have my contact information, I take it, yes?
Oh, of course, of course.
Very well. Well, it is unfortunate that this deal did not go through. I understand completely that Clan Jameer needs its privacy, and I hold no ill will. Thank you for the drink, actually. I was getting micro-peckish.
Tempting. It was quite tempting, but that's the way it is. Young kindred like yourself, I imagine you're, although not too young, I imagine you've already been lining up the other possibilities. Any information you'd like to share with you that might help, or lay your cards close to your chest, either way.
Yeah, actually. Apparently there are other radio stations around Perth that I'm currently looking at. The Sunshine FM station, actually. That's another asset that I need to go ahead and assert over.
Well, I think Mr. Harris, I'm not sure if he'll be going that direction, but if not, no, sorry, not Mr. Harris, Mr. Halliwell. We'll have words with him, but if he's not going to exploit it.
Well, I've been over there. It didn't feel particularly like holy ground, so you should be able to at least enter the grounds.
Wait, Asheroth actually looks at you. You've been over there?
Yes, it's within our domain.
It's within your domain.
Rafat will actually take out probably actually a map of Perth on the wall for just things. Rafat will gesture. He doesn't, because the domains are not marked out on the map. He'll gesture. This is the domain, and she'll say, "This is Sunshine FM here."
Ah, of course. Apparently I was misinformed about where these boundaries lie. I was under the impression that this particular location was held by a Primogen Tempore.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if there's an area there similar. However, if Nobin the Coterie is currently planning on taking advantage of that, I can't guarantee anything myself, but seeing, as I said, on behalf of Clinchmere, I was willing to, wouldn't inconvenience too much, offer a little aid, and you are a clanmate of Mr. Harris. If the two of us were inclined and nobody had their eyes set on it, we might be able to help you get the best deal possible.
Okay, that can definitely work out. I believe you two are in the same coterie?
Yes, the line's mate.
Right.
It is current makeup is myself, Leon, Sebastian Halliwell, and Mr. Valiente.
I hear a new name there. Apparently Sebastian has found his way home.
He has. We've always had a good relationship with the Ventru. Unfortunately, the loss of Harris. So, why do I keep calling everyone Harris? I do not know why. I apologize.
I have a very...
You have a certain aura about you. So magnetic.
Everyone. I have not yet learned the Mask of 1,000 Faces, but I have more head.
Mr. Freeman has... Unfortunately, he had talents. Especially, well, Taylor won't be... Whatever the prince decides to do to him, he is no longer a member of the coterie. I informed him of such at the time. But he is... It left us with certain gaps in our skill set. And they've been nicely filled by Mr. Halliwell, and he's enjoying the benefits. And yourself, how are you doing? Have you been lining up with some of the others?
I have gone ahead and made arrangements, or are starting to make arrangements, with the new Toreador in town, the grandchild, I believe, of Miss Grace.
Oh, excellent. Very good indeed. I'm always happy to see some new coteries. Unfortunately, I don't think the enforcers are being rather... That's something I'll have to look into a bit more, but the enforcers, since the Count's loss, have been very withdrawn. But we'll have to deal with that in future, make them re-engage a bit. But they're not necessarily doing as well since his loss, but we need to have more new coteries forming. There's no point having one or two coteries doing well. More than that has to be. Obviously, in the coming nights, once we have a sizable number of coteries doing well, then the competition will heat up and the nightly games will take on their usual fare. But right now, yes, I think it's good to see yourself, and I'm trying to remember his name. I don't think we really got to speak much on our outing.
Bagger.
Jonathan Bagger.
Jonathan
Yes.
Bagger. He'll have to forgive me, but I'm sure you two both picked it up. There was a certain distracting ambience to the entire night.
Mm-hmm. So, to bring the matters back to the ugly nature of business, are you two in a position to go ahead and negotiate for this particular asset, the Sunshine Station?
First, I think we'll have to figure out exactly if any of the others are terribly interested. I myself am not focused. It wouldn't be an exclusive thing. I have some inclination towards it, but nothing immediate. And I would rather see it under the control of someone, well, not outright control, but influence of someone who's taking a keen interest in the future. And multiple people getting involved, as long as it gets into too high numbers. But the others will see how interested they are. They might want to limit others on getting involved. If they're not interested.
I will confess I had some interest to there, but again, nothing immediate. You are aware it's a Christian station, yes?
Yes, I am very, very aware.
Fair enough. Well, like I said, as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem to be on holy ground, so you should be able to enter without trouble, which would be an important part.
I'm fortunate that I do not have that particular limitation. However, again, I'll offer apparently this new entity the same offer I've been making to others, 3 minor boons for control, or at least permission to operate within the station. If you would do me the kindness to go ahead and, as you said, talk with the rest of your coterie mates, see what they are wanting from the offer, and come back to me, I'd be eternally grateful.
In the 3 minor boons, there's 4 of us. As I said, I do want to dare, if we do end up with the others being interested, I'll volunteer to be the odd man out who does not get one of those boons. If we're dividing up along individual lines, if it's coterie lines, then that works out quite well for me as well. But like I said, just because one opportunity doesn't work out, I want to see you doing well. Have you chosen a name for your coterie?
Jonathan Badger went ahead and named it just as soon as it was conceived, or I should say conceived. He called it the Inner Light.
I like it. Simple. You could be talking about many different things as well, which helps. You're tracking? No, well, we'll talk to the others, and hopefully we'll be able to come up with some kind of accord. And if you have to look elsewhere, if that advantage does come out, if the others are interested in exerting some influence there and don't want to share, well, as I said, I'm willing to lend a hand.
Fair enough, my good sir. You've done more for me than most are willing to on the first night.
Yeah, that is... Boons are of great use, but they cannot buy goodwill. Of course, goodwill is not a currency that can be easily cashed in, and sometimes cannot be cashed in. But it's always good to have friends.
Yes.
And, well, there's a certain amount of selfishness there as well in other grants. If you do well, Clan Malkavian does well. If Clan Malkavian does well, Mr. Harris does well. Therefore, the Lion's Mane do well, and I do well. There's a lot of degrees of separation, but if you help out in every little area, it mounts up, especially given time.
Of course, of course. Harris, I don't believe I've spoken to you since we made the visit to the hospital, have we?
No, not really. I've been busy with 1 or 2 other things, making sure my my flock, for lack of a better term, is seen to.
Very well. What about our particular new visitor to the city?
Which particular... Would that be the one at the hospital, or...?
The one at the hospital.
Yes, as I understand it, he is off limits until the prince says otherwise.
I imagine the prince is consulting with a few individuals. Best to know, gather more information. But I'm sure before too long, we'll be finding out a few things. Hopefully things will go well.
Oh, that is a shame. I was actually very interested in this. Well, I couldn't understand a word the creature said, but still, I found him rather fascinating.
Well, if you want, at some point I might. We can start working on your Latin. He speaks that fluent.
Very well, actually. I would be glad to take any tutelage.
We can work out details later.
Thank you, my good sir.
Now, putting my head in somewhere it's not necessarily welcome, but with regard to the inner light, we currently don't have any Tremere I can point you in the direction of. However, Mr. McGowan, of course, is, I believe, looking for a coterie. And as well as that, one name that you come across, Mr. Bohr, of course, but Dexter, it's beneficial at times to have people from different coteries. Not different coteries, different clans. It means that Primogen can, well, if something were to go awry or there was things going on, it might be the tipping over factor, something to be worth consider. So Dexter would add in something, another element you lack. Perhaps something to consider.
I have considered it myself, and Dexter definitely has a genuine presence about him. Perhaps I will go ahead and offer him to join me, and myself and Badger. For now, I am simply looking for anybody or anyone who is currently without coterie. I'm looking at all candidates, I should say.
There's a few unnamed, of course. I don't have the measure of every single one. Not that you can ever truly have the measure of any kindred.
No.
Not without a great deal of time. But I'm glad to see you came. You heard out Mr. Musketeers. Even if we did not accept, entirely understand. And I'm glad we could settle this bit face to face. I'm looking forward to working with you in the future.
And I to you, Rafat. You were the first one to welcome me in the city, and hopefully you'll continue to be a smiling, friendly face.
I think with that we'll end the scene.
Yep.